Welcome back to the channel. I've spent my entire week behind the wheel of this 2024 Hyundai Elantra N. The Elantra N is, in my opinion, one of the most fun cars to drive without having to spend a ton of money. I've also got the 6-speed manual transmission version this week. It's all blacked out with red accents, and we have a little bit of a redesign for the front end. I'm going to take you through the exterior, the interior, and of course the POV drive. Let's get right into it. All right, up first, as usual, is the front for the Hyundai Elantra N. I'm filming in kind of low light here because I feel like the black really comes out in like the sunset. It looks fantastic with those red accents on the bottom. We have a big old intake. You can see the slight refresh just down here where it's a lot less of like piano black, I find. It's a lot more refined, and the grille feels a little bit lower. I've got parking sensors. You can see the N badge, the daytime running LEDs. We got the RoboCop treatment here for the Elantra N, and of course black paint, blacked out badge. I actually kind of like this configuration. But let me know in the comments, do you think the 2023 Elantra N or the new redesigned Elantra N looks better? Which front end do you like more? So the as tested price for this version of the Elantra N that I'm driving is $43,024 Canadian, which in my opinion is a very good and competitive price for this thing. Next up, let's take a look under the hood. I have a 2-liter turbo flat power GDI engine giving us 276 horsepower, 289 pound-feet of torque. Like I said, I've got a 6-speed manual transmission with rev match downshifting, which is very nice. I've got a front-wheel drive. This does not come in all-wheel drive, even if you go with the dual clutch automatic. I also get a variable exhaust valve system because this can be quiet. I don't know why you would want it to be quiet, but it can be quiet should you need to. Now, the main difference between the dual clutch and the 6-speed manual transmission, other than of course the transmission, is the fact that the dual clutch comes with an N-grin shifts, which is able to overboost the engine a little bit and make the Elantra N a little bit faster. Now, do you need that? I don't know, I'll leave that up to you, but for me, I can tell you so far that just driving around the 6-speed manual, I have not missed the N-grin shift button at all. So next we come along to the side profile, and you can see how aggressive the stance is, how actually quite low the ride quality is, but also how long the vehicle is. It almost is the same size lengthwise as my Sonata when I compare them side by side. And they also have the same amount of space. But let's get close here. I've got nice turn signal LEDs, all black paint with the red accent going all the way around the bottom here. I've also got the N logo here on the wheel, and I've got N painted red brakes. Gotta love that. And we also have another N logo right here down by the fender. I absolutely love the look. Now, we do also have one-touch lock and unlocking buttons. You can see me there in the paint. That's how like reflective this paint is. The only thing I would change if I was to buy this is I don't think I would get it in black. I would get it in the performance blue because that is the true color, I believe, of the Elantra N series. Now, last but not least, absolutely not least, is the rear for this fantastic looking Elantra N. You can see we have this light bar. Oh my God, it's one of my favorite places just to sit is right back here. We have this nice rear wing here. It's nice and like it doesn't move, doesn't do anything crazy, but it just adds a lot of detail to the car. I really like it. Again, we have that red accent going all the way along the bottom. Looks really good with the black paint actually. Then we have these huge exhausts, only 2 of them, but they actually make noise. This is one of the best sounding Elantras or just sedan in this class that I've heard so far. Got the nice N badge there as well, and a little triangle light on the bottom. We of course have a backup camera, and you can't see it very well, but I get close, you can see it spells Elantra. Next, let's take a look at the trunk. You can see I have my stroller in here, but I can zoom in back there, and you can see that if I fold the seats down, which I'm able to do, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to actually pass some bigger stuff through there. You're gonna have to maneuver them through the holes back here. In terms of my stroller here, I can fit a full baby stroller with another seat here and still have room to spare. This trunk has a lot of space, and I really like that. This honestly has me considering buying one of these Elantra Ns. So that's gonna do it for the exterior tour of this fantastic looking Hyundai Elantra N. I love it so much. I love the interior even more, so stay tuned for that. Let's do it. And then right after that, we're gonna do the POV drive. Let's get into those. All right, so up first, as usual, is the back seat for our Elantra N. So not a lot of crazy stuff going on here. We do have this kind of like Alcantara material that's very nice to feel. Little window button, no heated seats back here, which I feel like some of the higher end Elantra models do offer heated seats, which would have been nice here, but it's okay. But we do have this really nice seat material here. I do like it a lot, with this nice blue stitching right through. And then you can also see the back of our racing seats, which I'll talk about once we head up there. So let me hop in here. Very easy to do so, very easy entryway. I am a little bit further up than I usually am since this is the manual version. I do like to, you know, kind of drive closer. So behind my driver profile, I have a ton of legroom. Look at all this space I've got back here. It's really, really good. You can also see that there's some cutouts in the seats here in front of me. I don't have any kind of cup holders or anything that comes down here. I do have 2 ports for USB, which is very good. There's no vents back here, but I feel like, again, this is another one of those situations where the cabin is still small enough and I can actually still feel the air back here. So that's not a big deal. Little sunroof there, that's perfectly fine. I've got plenty of headroom here as well, so we like that as well. Baby seat is not currently in here, but it does fit very well. I'll just have to move this seat up a little bit more and I'll have no trouble fitting it. And yeah, kind of the same thing. There's no ambient lighting, nothing special back here per se for the Elantra N, but it is very good. I like also that this transmission column, or this center column here, isn't really that high, so you can still actually sit in the middle seat if you're in a pinch and you need to, without it being too much of a problem. Overall, I do like the back seat. There's nothing special about it. It's just simply a back seat, but it's got a really good amount of legroom for me anyways, and I think for most people as well. The manual version is going to have a lot of room, especially if you drive like me and you drive your seat with your seat a little bit more forward, as well as the passenger seat could go forward. But this is a surprising amount of room. I feel like the Elantra has gotten bigger since I last drove mine in, you know, I don't know, like last year at this point. So with that being said, let's hop up front. Alrighty, so next up is the business end, the front seat for the Elantra N. You can see here though, now we got a little bit more of like the design, still got this nice Alcantara feel, a little bit of a speaker here as well, which is nice. We got our standard window controls, little door handle here, nothing crazy. I do like the N logo here on the door sill, that's very nice. The seats are all gonna be manual adjusted, and I'm assuming that is more for weight savings more than convenience. Also, you can check out the seats here, look very nice. We have like this blue kind of pattern here. The racing bucket seats look absolutely phenomenal. The coolest part of these seats is this N logo that actually lights up. It'll look really cool at nighttime, but the only problem I found is I can't keep them on all the time. They are only on when I lock the car, unlock the car, or when I open the doors and the car is on or off. Like when I start to drive or when I close the door and the dome lights go off, these lights go off too, and there's no way to turn them on all the time. So let's go ahead and hop in here. That is also very easy to do. You do kind of fall into the seat because it is a deep bucket seat, but once you're in it, it feels very comfortable. We're greeted by this very nice looking steering wheel. So let's start by talking about the steering wheel. I really like this light blue kind of stitching that goes through. Looks really cool. This blacked out Hyundai logo looks really good as well. I've got my media controls here on my left, my cruise control stuff here on my right. The cruise control is not adaptive. It is just, you know, the basic cruise control. But we do have that nice lane centering assist that is very, very good. Then since we have the manual version, we're losing our N grin shift button. This little red guy here on the automatic is called N grin shift. On my manual here, we have a rev button. So when I click that, it's going to turn rev matching on or off. I like that they did not delete the button. I still have a cool red button on my steering wheel that I can have fun with and enjoy. And it maybe doesn't overboost the engine and give me more horsepower, but it does turn rev matching on or off quickly. And I still like that it has some type of functionality. I like the little N logo down here as well. Then we get to these 2 N buttons. So if I click it once on either side, it'll go into N standard mode. And if I click it again, it'll go to custom. You can change how these buttons behave. So you can do that by going into setup and then going into button. And here you can see I can have, you know, the N custom 1, N custom 2 for the left, and you can see it can change this. You can toggle through drive modes, you can start / record a lap timer, there it is, and you can change all your other buttons as well through there, so you can remap stuff, which is really cool. So I really like the layout of it. I love having these 2 quick access buttons to just activate any type of sport mode that I need or want in any given time. Very nice. Left hand side, very basic. Traction control on or off. as well as our illumination controls. And then we have this kind of interesting design that does nothing. It is more piano black. You're never going to touch it. You're probably going to keep it clean. Would have been nice to see a speaker there, but it is what it is. It doesn't really distract me, so it's fine the way it is. Then we'll move on to our digital infotainment display. You can see I have a couple of different themes here. So I have a normal mode, I have a sport mode, and I have an eco mode, but neither of these modes are the ones that I drive in all the time. I drive in either one of my N custom modes. So you can see like the splash that it does when it kind of changes, and it will also tell me on the bottom there, you can see it will tell me, you know, what kind of settings I actually have. When it's fully up like that in red, it means everything is in Sport Plus, where you can see my N Custom 1 is basically everything in Sport Plus, and then my N Custom 2 should be everything in Sport Plus except for the suspension, and our traction control is going to be, you know, pretty muted. So, and also I have a couple of different pages there that I could go through. Lap timer, where it's going to set my best time. I can also have a G meter, and then I can have tire pressure, stuff like that. So you can monitor stuff on the fly, and you can see it shows me my oil temp, my engine temp, stuff like that. It's very cool. And then we have this big rev tachometer in the middle with our speed and our gear right there. It is a fantastic layout, and I love it. So speaking of N mode, there is a little button on my infotainment for specifically N mode. You can see I can choose which track I'm on. We have a ton of them on here already loaded up, which is really good. You can have country or the name, and then I also have kind of like just a normal rev kind of thing where when you press it, it goes up and down. If you're on the track and you just would like to focus on that, you can have that there. Lap timers there. You can also see how hard I'm applying brake pressure as well as throttle pressure as well, which is really cool. The oil temperatures are there as well. And this is where you're going to set up all of your custom stuff, right? So this is where you're going to kind of click to have it go up or down. Obviously, the exhaust sound is always going to be in Sport Plus because it is a very good sounding exhaust. Besides that, it is very much a Elantra kind of infotainment, a Hyundai infotainment. Very good built-in navigation, wired Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto. We've got a climate button, got a quiet mode button. We've got all the basic stuff. It does come with Blue Link, so I believe it supports the digital key stuff, so that's cool as well. Then we have a bunch of physical controls as well here. It's pretty much all physical controls, which I really like to see. And then we get to this guy, the nice manual shifter here. You can see it's all laid out nicely. I don't know how well the camera's gonna focus on that, but I'll include some B-roll for it. But anyways, we got this nice shifter here. Feels very good, short throws. I'll talk about more of that when I take it for a drive. This is the drive mode button. Then I have my parking button, which is just to bring up the rear camera. Perfect quality. I don't really have any complaints, and I like that I have parking sensors here, so that's been really good. A manual handbrake, 2 cup holders, and check out this interesting key. Very cool. It's the Hyundai logo blacked out with the M badge on the back. Can't complain about that. So let me take that out because I have this interesting cup holder. So like you can see, the cup holders are quite deep. So if you have a drink that's on the smaller size, you put this in to the cup holder and then you put the drink in there. But the only thing is I've noticed a lot of drinks that I put in here, this comes out with the drink almost all the time, especially if it's a cold one. It almost gets stuck, so I end up having to use this as well. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that this is a lockout shifter, so very easy for my beginners there. You can see how close the pedals are, pretty decent for heel toe. It's a little bit more spaced out, but I could still reach that no problem. With bigger shoe sizes, probably quite easy. Passenger seat, same as the driver's seat, very comfortable. Despite being a bucket sports seat, you would expect it to be a little bit more rough. Absolutely not. It's one of the best seats I've sit in all year. I love it so much. I'll talk about that more once we take it on a drive. Speaking of driving, let's get this thing on the road. Let me strap that GoPro to my head. Let's get driving. All right, so on the road now where this Elantra N absolutely belongs. Gonna start things off slow here, Gonna start things off in normal mode where it's gonna give me the gear suggestions, stuff like that for fuel economy. And then, we'll obviously put it into the N mode because this is a mode, actually normal, that I do not drive in hardly ever if I can avoid it. I'm usually always in sport mode or complete N mode. Usually it's complete N mode, which has probably made my fuel economy, let me see if I can find that quick, probably made my fuel economy not good. Since refueling, 9.8. Actually, you know what? That's actually not horrible. I was expecting it to be somewhere in the 11 to 12 range. So that's pretty nice. So, and I've been pushing it. Like, I've been really, really trying to get the most out of this because, I got to make the most before it's gone. And yeah, I'm still not an absolute pro at manual driving. So I'm open to tips as you see them here. But the rev match downshifting obviously is going to make me look like a king when it comes to sporty driving and stuff like that. So we like this. The transmission is very good, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Let me engage my N. I like to leave it in the standard N because really, you know, the custom mode, I really only use that when I have my kid in the car, and I like to kind of keep everything in sport mode, maybe turn down the exhaust a little bit, but keep everything kind of pinned in. So let's give it a little bit of beams here behind this Ioniq 5, actually. Not the Ioniq 5N, otherwise that would have a significant horsepower advantage. But let's just give it a little pull here. Second gear pull. You can see we got the shift lights that are coming up, and I don't know if the camera picked it up, but that was a good noise out of that exhaust right there. So here we go, let's go for a bit more. Oh, I cannot continue to go because obviously I don't want to be in the back of somebody, but you don't need to because I got like all of my enthusiast juices going, you know, and I don't know how else to say that, but that's what we're going with because of the exhaust just sounds so phenomenal. And I can just kind of leave it in this sport mode. Steering is really good. Like I have everything in full sport plus mode. And even then I noticed the suspension. There's not a lot of difference between normal suspension and sport suspension. Obviously it does stiffen up the ride a little bit and it gives me a little bit more feeling throughout the whole kind of body of the car while I'm driving. But honestly, like the suspension is decent in any mode. Like obviously normal mode is like the most soft. And it's actually good for a daily driver. It feels like a genuine Elantra, which is really cool. Those of you that don't know, I actually owned a 2018 Hyundai Elantra Sport for about 5 years, and I sold it recently just because I was never driving it, so there was no point. But honestly, like the ride quality feels a lot the same. I'm just feeling the road a little bit more because of these racing seats. And that's kind of what I want from a car like this. Like if it's gonna look track oriented, gonna be marketed as track oriented, I want racing seats, and I wouldn't take it in any other way. If they offered like a different type of seat, wouldn't take it. I absolutely love the racing seats. This does have an electronic limited slip differential, so when I am in corners, this thing absolutely pulls through them like a champ. The thing is though, I think the only thing like that's missing driving wise, and especially just cruising like this, I have cruise control, which is wonderful, but I don't have adaptive cruise control. Whereas the Honda Civic SI, I guess it's its closest competitor, has the adaptive cruise control. It can keep the distance. This just has your lane centering assist, which is unmatched. Hyundai does it the best, but it can't like keep the distance. I have to do all of that stuff by myself. That's the only place where I feel like the Elantra N is lacking, but everywhere else, it's phenomenal. To me, if I had to choose between the Civic SI and the Elantra N, I am going Elantra N every time, because stock for stock, the Elantra N is more powerful, it's more loud, it's got better seats in my opinion, and it's just a really like full, complete racing enthusiast package that I absolutely love. As you can see there, I was taking my hands off the steering wheel. Let me know if you noticed me doing that. I was doing it on purpose to kind of just show that I can kind of go a little bit hands off, but as soon as it has to take a turn, it's going to yell at you. But yeah, it's not meant to take your hands off, so definitely don't do that. But look, I absolutely adore this thing. It was my affordable dream car when it came out, and now it's just kind of cemented that now that I've actually gotten to drive it, because I never got to drive them when they first came out. I also didn't even know how to drive manual when they first came out. So that's what we're going to talk about next here. So let me turn on this street here. Love the rev match downshifting, never gets old. And we'll do a little pull in second gear here. Again, ooh, nice Corvette, look at that. All right, let's do a little pull here. And if I let off the gas now, yeah, we get some nice pops and bangs. All right, we'll slow it down a bit more. Another little pull to the red line. Oh, and on the shift up, it sounds so good. And like, I'm not getting any wheel spin, nothing like that. I'm able just to ride it out really nicely. It just pulls really well. And it's popping and banging the entire way. So here's the question: dual clutch or manual transmission? That I think is the biggest debate, and that is the biggest decision that honestly, when I look at actually buying this car, that's the decision I have the most problems with, because I got this rev button on here, which in the dual clutch, it's called the N grin shift buttons, which overboost the engine for a couple of seconds. You get more horsepower. That completely doesn't come with it. You cannot overboost the engine with the Elantra N manual. Sucks, I know, but I don't know, like it's the thing I'm having the hardest time figuring out which one I would actually enjoy more. I feel like not having driven the DCT, I've driven a DCT Hyundai Sport. My Hyundai Sport was a DCT. I loved it. The transmission was lightning fast, very good. But having driven the manual with these sounds, I feel like I have so much more control over it, and it's a much more engaging driving experience. Sure, the paddle shifters are cool, but they're going to be plastic. I know that. So why not, if I'm going to want to roll my gears all the time, why not just get the manual? Why not just feel super engaged? It has the rev match downshifting, so it's a very easy experience. I think the manual is the way to go. I think if I manage to get my hands on a dual clutch with the end grin shift and I try the overboost, unless it's like a really huge, noticeable, crazy horsepower and torque boost that you can really feel, I'm probably still going to buy the, just the manual one, because I'm so much more engaged with this one. And I feel like you just could have so much more fun when you took this thing to the track, because like I said, like you don't have to be a pro at rev match downshifting. You don't have to be fast at it. The car takes care of it beautifully. Oh, I hope you can hear those noises, because it never gets old. Oh my goodness. I've been doing it all week, and like I keep counting down the days to when I have to get rid of this car because I got to give it to the next journalist, and it's like I just don't want to do it. It just sounds so good. So last we'll touch on like little steering feel stuff. Like I said, limited slip differential really helps. I like the steering wheel. I love the blacked out N logo. I think like the only things that I would change just if I was to buy it, I would get it in the performance blue color, because I think that shows the body lines quite a lot. The black hides a lot of this stuff, a lot of like the black accents with the red. So like the blue, the black, and the red accents look phenomenal to me. So that's the spec I'm going with. And I'm going with the manual transmission for sure. I don't care about like these racing seats. Love them, love them, love them. I don't care that there's a lot of plastic on the interior. I don't care about that, because it is one of the more affordable, fun things to drive on the market right now. You got the Volkswagen Jetta that I believe is in the same market as this. Haven't driven the manual of that one, but I did drive I think it was the 22 or 23 dual clutch one of that, which was fast and sure, plenty of fun, but it doesn't sound like this. It doesn't look like the Elantra N, and so just to me, it just wasn't as fun. So whether you decide to go with a fully manual or the dual clutch, I think this car is a phenomenal option. If you're looking for something fun, if you're an enthusiast, you want the racing seat feel, but you also don't want to spend, the price of a Type R, which obviously has more power, obviously is maybe a little bit more engaging on the driver's side, but you got to spend a lot more. Those things are expensive. I think this might just be one of my most favorite cars that I've driven this year. And Hyundai, trust me, Hyundai is not paying me to say that. I just am absolutely obsessed with the Elantra N. I love it so much. I hope you guys love it just as much as I do. I've enjoyed filming this. Thank you so much for watching. It's because of you that I get to sit in what was and what still is my affordable dream car. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you never miss a new one. See you next week. See you in the next car. Take care.